20 rows, 40 cars. The lights are already green. A very, very quick flick. Looks like a very tidy getaway from pole position from Luca Exler. The driver in fourth place is the one pushing his hardest. Jim Meclaren in Meclaren goes towards the outside of that. That's the muscle off the circuit, but all nice and clean for about the first 20 cars. What's happening behind, I can't tell you yet, but what I can tell you is Luca Exler made a really, really tidy start from pole position.
Yeah, looks like Stolz had Lucas Hour off on the exit of turn one. This 9 car eased off the yellow man filter car, but we go on board with Rivera now third position. You can see them still working the pressures higher and higher. Exler doesn't have to defend here. We're going to see the concertina up here into the hairpin.
Yeah, Marcus Siebert lost a few positions. I thought we'd have a spin. I didn't think. Rivera, having fallen to the back in qualifying, being reinstated into third position. Not what he wanted. The winner of the opening race of the season at Brands Hatch, and it's not going to be happening for him here tonight and his team at Vincent Abril. But that's what happens at the Adelaide hairpin. It always has, and it always will. Yeah,
it looked like Jim Meclaren got into the back of him. Hard to see if it was Jim Meclaren accelerating too early or Rivera was slow to get going, but expect a potential penalty for Jim Meclaren there. Maybe 10 seconds. You can see all the carbon fibre as well from other cars. Drivers doing well to avoid that. That would have been in the blind spot, and Rivera doing well to flick it around the traction control off. Now getting more single file outside the top 15. Big slide there for Tom Fleming.
Yeah, well, of course, that was the dream result there for Luca Exler and Patrick Niederhausen. They didn't wish at anyone else, but they've now got a big gap between them and the rest. That will really, really give them choices in this race. Up and down at the very back of the field, I can see Dennis Marshall's already picked up about 5 or 6 positions. His Kessel Racing Ferrari, but bouncing over the curves, just trying to get clear of Patrick Niederhausen. Luca Exler powering on with the Garage 59 McLaren's very close to each other. In fact, very close to disaster as he goes through the final corner.
Yeah, Chiva, the meat of the Garage 59 We've got past Gertha, saw some more bodywork flying off. Could have been the front of that 93 Sky Tempesta car, but good move from Chiva. Aggressive on the first lap. Car still fighting all over this place. Line speed there, looking down the inside Whitwood. But the front two, like you said, they wouldn't have wished bad, but I'm sure they would as a racing driver. I know they would have. And now they have gap. They've got, what, 1.6 seconds back to Jim Meclaren third. Be interesting to see if Jim Meclaren's got any damage on the front left corner of his Meclaren.
And the one who really lost out, he lost about 3 positions for Adelaide in the first lap, was Marcus Siebert, who'd been in class pole. And in fact, he's had even more problems this time. He's gone way too deep into Adelaide. He just lost about 4 more positions. But up to the lead in the Silver Cup classes, Kobe Powell is going well. He's trained with Jamie Day, who's just come up from winning a race in Australia last weekend. So, you know, as a racing driver, sometimes when your momentum is with you, it's just these small elements. But what a brilliant shot. And unfortunately, 1, 2, 3 cars forward of Roman Andriolo, the Mustang, deep in the gravel. So I think the big advantage that Luca Exler and Patrick Niederhausen has will surely be hauled back in, because one does feel there's going to be interruptions. That's turn 5, deep in the gravel. Safety car, there is the message, but Joe, no surprise there.
No, Tom Fleming, that first Garage 59, gets the move done on boost. He's been a man on the move in the first few laps and has done a really good job. He's getting 3 places. There was a third car, so we saw the Mustang, the 99 Audi as well there. And yes, Siebert locked the rears, didn't he? I don't know if he got contact. So much to look at with 40 cars on the grid.
Well, now the start looked very tidy for Luca Exler's point of view, but in about 5th or 6th place, it really got a little bit tough. You can see the Whitwood Racing Mercedes getting a real twitch. Lucky Hour doing a good job to get that back onto the stuff that had some grip. Down through Estoril for the first time. Any problems are likely to come at the back of the pack. The first half dozen of cars got through, but really all drivers are thinking, got through this, what's the next point you do heavy braking? Oh, I know, Adelaide hairpin. Uh-oh. And it's a car in third place that ended up, was there contact? Yes, there was. We were looking through the windscreen of Jim Meclaren's Meclaren. You might say, Rivera turned across my nose, but you do tend to have to turn when you get into a hairpin. Now this wonderful drone shot, looking down the first corner. Look for the back, yeah, 5th and 6th places, no, 6th and 7th places, but the yellow Whitwood Racing Mercedes off the circuit lost 1, 2, 3 positions, dirt on its tires. But Auer got actually pretty good traction down into Westerly, was able to get that run out of the corner for the long, long drive. He lost the position on the way out, but he could have lost so much more there.
Yeah, I thought Stolz rubbed him on the side. Actually didn't look like any contact whatsoever. Was just conscious he was there, so tried to run all the way to the exit of the track and just overshot slightly. You see the Ferrari get turned around now, and yeah, I don't think Stolz gets in the back of that Meclaren there, and yeah, unfortunately for Chris, nothing he can do. Gets away quickly. The
lights are now out. They absolutely nailed that one. So what we'll see, yes, exactly what I expected. Luke Renzo backed it off. He's reading the instruction manual down the hill he will come. Of course, no one can overtake him until they cross the start-finish line. But at any moment, just hammer the throttle, and the hardest thing for anyone behind is to know when and how they're going to react. But Patrick Niederhauser, he's been round the block a few times, so he's going to be just absolutely trying to focus and see any clue he can get in the fading light. In fact, right now, they're heading down the hill into the setting sun. That's not a helping hand.
Looks like they've got the last part, and not a bad restart, but Niederhauser with a load of understeer there, couldn't get to the apex. That's a lovely restart for him, and still that Porsche not getting a huge amount of mechanical grip at the moment. It's been a dream restart for him, so he'll have to get his head down and keep pushing for the rest of his stint.
That was really, really clever to accelerate almost at the point of braking. So everyone accelerates, then brakes. And yes, definitely the front end on Niederhauser's Porsche washed away a little bit. Others still trying to struggle for grip as they're getting around Estoril. Up the long, long climb they go towards the Adelaide hairpin. What could possibly go right? Well, let's find out. I think Exley's got the job done. Sure, get in to the chicane, to the hairpin, around the corner for anyone else to get close. It looks like the action's coming further back. Lucas Auer looking out, looking one way, looking another. Is the contact. The driver on the move there is Charles Vince. Around the outside, but unfortunately the outside wasn't where he wanted to be in the end. And Auer's going, no, mate, you're not coming through there.
So important for the championship, how close they are. Any point, a single point makes a big difference. As Fleming trying to go round the outside of Neubauer in the background. Neubauer and Leclerc are sole remaining all French lineup at their local race.
Yeah, so the yellow Mercedes and the orangey red BMW, they're the two cars at the front of the championship. In the Sprint Series, it's the BMW from WRT that leads by 1 point. Remember, I pointed out before the start of the race that Lucas Auer's car is just 1 point behind, but importantly, is 1 position ahead. But right now, he's going to have absolutely no rest up until they get to that pit window, and then they'll have to decide when to come in.
Full damage to triple one. Only 18 seconds edge drive through the 249.5 metre pit lane, so not a disaster, but race control acting fast. We're going to start to see these brake discs glowing as well in the dark. 650, 700 degrees centigrade. Cars again running wide there as well. Cars still struggling for grip. Track temperature start to drop away, which will bring some grip back, but the team have to have the pressures in the right window. As we see Fleming get down the inside of Neubauer. Fleming is the man on the move, ground braking well inside to the top 8. This is a mega drive so far. Now he will be trying to chase down the BMW. Will that potentially help Lucas Auer if Wirtz has to start looking in his mirror at this 58 McLaren?
Yeah, sometimes you need the cavalry to arrive. He does look as though Tom Fleming's got the pace to be that, but you know what's been elapsed. We've already lost 17 minutes this race. Another 8 minutes, the pit window will open, and that's when the team will have to decide how they come in. So it doesn't matter if it's first or last. The battling is fantastic around the circuit here at Manicourt. The light is falling fast. We had that quick safety car period, a couple of cars out of the race after contact up at the Adelaide hairpin. Up front, it's still Luke Renzo, 1.1 seconds good. Almost no one else in the race has got a margin as big as that, because they are nose to tail as they work their way under heavy braking down to 45 kph around the Adelaide hairpin.
Two drivers starting to get ready. Vince Ambrose looking distraught there. They had a terrible qualifying last, then got back up to 4th, getting their lap back, and now they're back to last. And that's why Vince Ambrose was pretty distraught. I wondered why he wasn't kitted up ready to go. There's obviously a problem with that car. Is that from the contact, or is that a different issue? I would guess it's the former.
Probably think so. Of course, we're looking at the end of the car that didn't have the damage because the front was to the right rear corner. That was the CSA Racing Meclaren that did the damage. Just coming through our shot. Now that's the CSA car in 3rd place, number 111 for Jim Clark, but the French driver will be coming in.
I think he's got a chance to get black flag too. He's done more than bring that concern, that driver-free penalty. And it's not something you can really go and argue. It's a judge of fact that's done. There's no way around it. As we get a replay at the corner where we saw contact there, you can see a lunge from Bruno Gomez and a little bit of bodywork falling off.
Top speed, still Patrick Niederhauser fastest in turn 7, and it's such a tricky corner, wonderful corner, brilliant high shot there. A few people getting very, very close indeed to exceeding the track limits. Still the warnings come in, largely in turn 11, in fact that's the uphill chicane. It's like a bit of a place change down there, it's only a bit of rubbing, they say rubbing is racing, but Ferrari will be on the wrong side of the track. Meclaren behind says, thank you very much, you know what, I might take both of you. Up the hill, 3 into a chicane. It's not a formula that normally works, and the Meclaren certainly eventually getting back to the circuit. But ambition, I think when you suddenly get an opportunity like that, Joe, you think, I'm going for it. Zingo Sport, Tempesta Ferrari stays at the front of that group, but it was very, very tight indeed.
Yeah, that was Chivo and Neubauer on Goethe. Goethe super great, making it 3 wide, but only half of that car was on the tarmac, so he had to back out of it. Yes, they got the inside, but all was fair, all stayed there. And now Neubauer hits. That was as early as he could. Good move by A, of course, there to get him out. So does Charles Verts, and this is where the undercut's so strong. Another set of tyres were going on, and the driver change. 4 tyres happening now.
Yeah, and Team WRT have got the final pit garage before pit exit, which is always quite a good thing. But quite simply, Verts had tried for lap after lap to get past Lucas Ara. It wasn't happening, and I think that's a very sensible call.
See how tight WRT on pit exit. The car control had to get well out of the way. Will they even get up to 50k by the end? They did have the limit.